Hi everyone, welcome back. I'm going to continue filming some of these fun little florals that I like to do as basically funding for our Jansen Art Foundation, where we give all the free, give out scholarships and stuff like that. So these will be coming up. Watch the community page. These will be coming up for sale, and we would love to have your support on it. So anyway, what I want to do is some more a different type of rose composition. Same palette that I used just on the last one that I showed you, and this is the medium white. All the colors are listed again in the video. This is the medium white. What I was just taking was, these are some of the colors, and you can see it's been a couple hours since I filmed that last one, and even when you add that open medium and those extenders, this is the open medium, and you add that to here, you still get these colors still stay wet for quite a bit of time. And it just works. Now, what I was doing was just taking some of the gray color that I had over here from the last one, which was blue and burnt sienna. I added a little green and burnt sienna and medium white and made this gray. I want kind of a better gray. This is kind of a greenish gray here. If it's too green for you, add a little bit of burnt sienna. A little different color here, and we'll strike it. Now, I'm not going to completely completely cover, so I do like to, me, I like to play these backgrounds, and I like the interest that I get on some of these backgrounds. I like some of those movements and stuff, and even just your paper towel wiping it down. So this is an 11 by 14. I gave it a coat of the canvas prep medium. Then I'll just take some of that off of there like that. And if you want to clean your palette, just take a damp paper towel and just run through your palette like this, and you'll take off some of that extra color. Even some of this over here. Let's just take some of it off right now to give us kind of a clean starting area. Or you can do, if you want your flowers more of a tonal quality, take some of this and just take it off to the side and leave some of that. Maybe we won't take off quite all of it, but you can wipe down to take off some of this, and or you can leave some of this to have some nice tonal quality color out there as well. It's one of the things to remember about an artist is if you keep all of your colors so clean, a lot of artists like to do that, make clean and make colors. And if you're following like Richard Smith or something like that, the Grandmaster's technique, yeah, you like some of those colors clean, and they're constantly cleaning and making precisely that tone. Then you go into what I like about color harmonies, letting some of these colors dirty up and slide into other colors, and you get a good harmony that way. So there's two rules of thought, and I'll follow both of them depending on what it is that I want to do. But usually, like when I paint these flowers, which are pretty popular, I like to use the colors a little bit more dirty. Okay, so let's take this for a second though, and take our palette knife here, and I want to make more of a blue, maybe a blue violet, and I'll use this medium white to lighten it up because it has a tiny touch of yellow in that, and if I get this violet here, I'll get a bit of toning into it. So I want to make a softer blue, but I want it more on just a touch more onto the violet side, which will be a pretty one, I think. For this, maybe a bit of white here. I'm just looking at the blue, and of course this is kind of my color here, and I want a bit of this blue as almost like a sky kind of blue color, make it kind of fun for the flowers to sit through that. So I'll take a little bit of extender. So here's my extender. I'll take just a little bit of extender in my brush, run this through, and let's put some more blue into this. Yeah, I like that color. It's just but I want it to be a little bit more powerful and maybe not quite so mixed. So let's put a bit of the, see that's kind of pretty through there like that. Now, that really takes it different, doesn't it? And then we could have some pulls through with that color. I like little touches of that almost aqua from almost an aqua blue from the Phthalo blowing through there, and maybe even make just a touch more right up through here like that. And because I love the blue, and some people really like the blue. Blue's my favorite color, but I'll pull some of that through. That'll make it pretty, and I'll put a rose or something right up through there. Very different Very, very different. Let's put a, sometimes I like the, if I'm going to have a powerful vertical, I do like to have a few powerful horizontal strokes that just break it up a bit. So now we'll do some white and maybe pull some of these violet-y colors back through there. Now, if you got color, and this is a little heavy, like I've told you before, if you've got color in here, it's a little heavy, we might consider taking back, and I'll just use my other hand here, my left hand too, and take off just a bit of that paint. Ooh, you know, I hit a little bit of burnt sienna there, and I did like that look there for a second, then I wiped it off. But a little burnt sienna. Burnt sienna would be almost a complement to that. So, and it's a nice warmth, you see. So that's kind of pretty in there. And that's what I love about doing these things. For years, I did these after an end of a paint day. I'd come in and I'd take all my palette colors, put it out on my palette here, and just paint and practice backgrounds and florals, and sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. And but you know, I learned so much from them by doing that. I learned and created some really neat looks. Excuse me. And I love those. All right, let's go in. Let's paint the queen here. We've painted the queen many times together. And let's just come in and let's just set in a beautiful upward rose right here. And we'll drop that here. So basically what I envision is that center of the rose here. And add in a few little touches of color and then down to the shadow side here. And I'll let some of this just come down here. Let that rose just kind of blur out down there. I like to do that. Let's take a, let's go more with a little bit of yellow, a complement to that. A little bit of Hansa, yellow oxide, nice little warmth color into here. And we'll set that the front of the bowl of the rose up. Does it stay like that? It's maybe a bit harsh, so I just take it off just a bit there. See, just take your finger and just take it off a bit. And let's come with a little more light white right out here. And we'll imagine some of these petals pulling in. So if the bowl of the rose is going to come right down in there, we'll look at building some of these petals right down here. Like this. Right in here. Even I'll leave that little bit of texture in there. And vary it. Lift the pressure as you go to the back. And just you can kind of shape in the shape of the rose that you might want to have there. You know, you don't have to do a, you know, this, if you're doing a real casual rose like this, and this is very casual, you don't have to have a tremendous amount of paint in it. Let it just sit there kind of soft and impressionistic, and that's where those get really pretty. Let's put a little bit of blue, a little bit of violet, and right back up in here. We'll let some of those violets and colors come in here. And that's kind of pretty. Just variation of that, maybe a little bit of softer color. Few marks, and sometimes I just set that brush down and let it just do a mark. Sometimes if I take out too much of that center, I just go back and add a few more little movements back in there that create that center again. Let's pull these in. Maybe some outside, some ideas of some outside petals here. Sometimes I'll close that off with like pulling a petal down like this. That kind of closes off the center here. And I like doing that because it just gives you different types of shapes of roses. We can open up this one here by just turning that down like that. Maybe a soft violet coming up in there. A soft violet stroke here to help say that's the inside and the back of the rose. Let's put some soft violets. The Quinacridone Violet, soft, maybe a little yellow in it, helps tone it down, warms it a bit. Put some of that back down in here. And I really, you know, I know I'm moving kind of fast for some of you, and I like to move fast because to be all honest with all of you guys, is I'm a left-brain painter. And if I don't move fast, I will sit down and think about it and analyze it and play with it, and it all becomes the same. So many times when I'm painting, and that's why I like to do the 30 days of roses with you, 30 roses, 30 minutes, and 30 days, each day a different rose. And I so love that because it causes us to work and try different things. So here I'm just building up more white. Let's gray this down, a little bit of that violet as we come out here. And let's just paint this. And see all the roses. This is what I love about painting here. And especially painting like this, alla prima, wet into wet. They're all going to be a little different. And I love that difference that you can get here. Just letting that be a little different there. That's kind of pretty. Maybe a little edge. So I pick up a little edge. Just small. I should hold that right up there. You can see that little edge. And I can use that little chisel edge there to kind of draw a petal here. And so it's just a chisel. See, I'll pick up a little more paint so I can maybe chisel one idea of a petal right in there. And maybe a little bit more light white paint to build one right up in here. Right up in there like that. I really like to use, like I've said before, my left hand in painting some of this stuff. Because my right hand is my hand that's a little precise, and my left is not. I'm right-handed, so my left hand actually paints into stuff a little bit more casual. And I know, it kind of seems strange. Oh, you got to use your right hand. You put your right hand in there. But your right hand is putting the same type of mark that you did here. Your left feels different, feels strange. And so it relaxes the mark usually, at least for me. And that's why I like to use it. It's a little different feel here. There we go. So that's kind of a pretty and a little different one there. We'll build this light up a bit more here. And maybe a bit more right out through here at the turning part of that rose. Here. There we go. Maybe a bit more closed off right here. Just a few petals just to kind of close that off in there like that. Kind of pretty. If I'm going to leave that dark, which is pretty dark, I actually should lighten that just a bit, because if you get it too dark, it looks like a dark little hole. So I'm just going to add a little bit of light right back up there. Maybe a little bit more of that light violet up just a bit higher, so it comes out of that area a bit here. There we go. Just get some nice kind of semicircular movement there. And maybe a mark or two right down here that is a little deeper in color. Maybe a little chisel right out here too. That will help say the petals here. That's all we need, just little marks like that. And that's kind of a pretty little rose. Let's take some warmer green. Maybe sometimes I'll use extender just to loosen this up. Sometimes I'll use the open medium here. Let's just try, let's go a little bit more green. It's a little too much burnt sienna. And we'll push some of that in here. Imagine where the calyx is going to be coming on this one here. Maybe it's going to come up right through there. And so we'll put a nice powerful movement here of that stem line in there. Before, on the earlier one, I took a little lighter green, yellow green here. Yellow oxide and green, and we hit that a bit. That's kind of fun. Maybe take a mark or two of that color right out through here as well. Just marks. And, marks of color, just movement. That's that nice, beautiful, just like that. Just those marks. It just adds so much interest, there to the painting. Let's leave that kind of greenish color in there. Add some of this, model some of this up. Let's build this petal up a little bit more here of some of that warmer yellow color. And that will put in a little extra light right there, which I like. Maybe a bit more right out here. Sometimes I'll push. You've seen me do this. I'll push and push back in, and then that creates almost a transparency there as it picks up some of the other colors. And then I just come back and hit that light edge again, and so that makes a petal almost like it's transparent. And I like that in some of the flowers because it just, you know, gives a nice different look to it. Let's build up a little bit more light right in here as a second run of petals. I'll let some of that green come in there too. Yeah, and that looks pretty good. We'll just put a larger bit of light warm right up here to lift that petal off. And so I do want to leave the line of the bowl, or where you can clearly kind of see the line of the bowl. That makes it kind of pretty. Let's take some of this blue, soft blue and white, right back here. Now see, what that does is it carries in some of our blue background into the rose, see? And again, that helps with the transparency or translucency of the rose. And I'm a big advocate for that, carrying some of your colors back into there like that. It just works. So that's kind of pretty. Let's put in just a bit more, maybe a bit of green in that violet right down in through here. See, that increases the contrast of that rose. And, you know, whether you like it or not, that's up to you. You know, and every one of us is different, and it's okay. I'm just going to increase the contrast just a bit on that side of the rose. And I'll leave some of those smaller little marks there because they look pretty good. Sometimes I'll take this warmer, maybe a bit on the yellow side here, and redo some of this bowl right here to get some of that warmth down in there. And see, this is one of the things, like if I'm painting, and you know, I'm painting the cell now, so I like to get a lot of color variations. There's others in beginning roses I don't. You know, you see me paint on the channel here. I like to concentrate on the structure with you guys. Well, here we're going to concentrate on some of the tonal qualities, some of the tones that our rose is showing in here. So we want to get some of those warms playing against the cools. I want to use some of this warmth, build it right here, and build a little more light right up into the front of the rose, pulling right down towards the edge of that right there. Don't try not to mix them too much here. And so I leave some of that shadow of that bowl down there. See, I don't want to, and that's dangerous with whites. And so sometimes you'll see me add like the open medium to there because it keeps that white more transparent. And here I'm not going to stroke all the way down there to the end of that bowl so that that rose will basically stay heavier, or you know, more opaque white right up there into the front. And then that makes that. And so I'm watching how my strokes and stuff here go. I'm going to put a heavier little dose of the white right out there. Again, let's just take a little bit of that cool and just lift that off. So I leave just that little mark there. And I think that's kind of really pretty. So I got this really kind of pretty movement of the rose, of the colors moving through the rose. And that's what I'm looking for with that one. And so now we can put some other flowers out here with this. And, you know, some pretty white or yellow-white blossoms would be pretty out here with this. Nice, warm, maybe some pink to you know, or that peach color blossoms. A nice little wildflower or something right out here. They would be kind of pretty right out here. Different. And so I imagine the oval that I want to stay with the blossom here. And then and here you see me, I push them off color. I'll do a light color right across the front here, and that helps the blossom kind of turn. I'll leave that lighter edge maybe up over this back edge here. So the blossom kind of comes up into that, up over the edge of that one a bit. But so you imagine it's kind of turned, and so you foreshorten the front. In other words, short little marks into the front, longer ones onto the side, almost like the little wings of an airplane. And then we'll take some red violet, push that. It has a little too much blue there. Some red violet quinacridone right on the corner of the brush. We'll push that down into there. We'll take a little yellow oxide, push that right into that, the light side there of that here. So we get a little yellow and a little light, maybe a little Hansa tapped into a little bit of light, and we can just tap a bit of that right up onto the light side here. And again, we'll leave this very casual here. And I'm going to add just a bit of length here to this little blossom right here. There we go. Right up there into the front here. Just like that. Let's maybe make this one just a bit more, you know, a little bit more solid here. Edges right out here. Let some of that, let some of the transparency kind of come through there. And, you know, you'll get a nice look. You know, a little bit of transparency is pretty cool. There we go. That's a nice little look. Sometimes you can make on some blossoms, I would make a secondary little tone in there. Now you can do blossoms, you can do little daisies. I do like to do the pushing in and out, which you see me do so many times on so many of that. Put in a little color, push in and out, because that just builds up some of the power of that blossom here, the petals. Let's add a little more light structure here. Right in there like that. In and around those. So you can close this rose off a little bit more. I'm just watching it, and what I'm doing is just watching the rose in relationship to that little blossom and painting that there. And you figure out, you know, what you want to do. Everyone could be a little different here. There we go. Let's put just a touch more white maybe right up in here on that. Right up here. Just that lighter, little heavy right into the front here. That's pretty good. Maybe a touch more of our violet here. Adds to that little shadow right in there. It just makes a nice little shadow there of that blossom. And it's different, you know, and that's what I like to be. Let's make a softer little bit of blue. Some of these colors, nice grayed color. Take a little bit of your blue with your greens, your yellows, and you'll start to get this grayer color of the blossom. And those can be real pretty right out to here. So not all your blossoms have to be exactly the same color. But sometimes if you want, if you like that, just go ahead and touch a little bit of that color out into some of the other ones here. Right? And, you know, some of this color, stronger color right in there. Sometimes I'll move them together lightly like that. Let's get a little bit, tap in some dark, leave some of that green that's there from the background. That's kind of neat. Tap in some of that dark right there. Then we go through the yellow. I always pick up towards the light side, so it's the top side there. And then Hansa Yellow and a little bit of white modeled together. A couple marks of that right there. Just makes a pretty simple, fun little center. Let's take a touch of light right here and just kind of pull across a bit. Maybe give the idea this blossom turns. See, I'll take some of this softer gray here. Push and pull so that it mixes with some of that background there, so it just stays soft. And you see how that really turns that blossom there. Okay, so it's really kind of a great thing to help you turn those blossoms. Let's get some green, and I'm gonna go out to the background. So I'm gonna thin this out with some extender. So when I go out away from my center of interest, which is the rose, when I paint compositions like this, not all the time, it's not a rule, okay? But generally I will thin it out here, and I'll take a look at that color. See, I like that, kind of pulling that color up there. It could be just a touch more green and a touch more transparent. So a little bit more extender here. We'll do kind of the leaf shape, a couple of them here, which you guys always see me do here. Maybe a few marks or so right out here. It just stutters. Then I let that set for a second, and then I'll pull off to kind of pull off the edges there to kind of blur them off a bit. And it makes them more casual. If I want that rose to come up a bit, like I showed you before, I can take a little green, a little violet here, nice little darker shadow. I can negative paint the shadow here, maybe up one side of the leaf there, like that. And to see how that all of a sudden makes that petal look very translucent on this rose here. More transparent. And so, you know, that's up to you. That's just, you know, it's a different way of doing it and making it kind of pretty here. Let's come back right over here, a little bit of that green and some violet. Here, a little darker, right out here like this. And see, I can even shape the leaves that are the idea of the petals right there on the side. And so sometimes I'll leave it like really just distorted in here. And where's the edge? You can't find the edge. And then I bring it back with the shadow, the negative painting. So, and if you want to see some of the roses and stuff, I do that. If you go to the search bar, like go to my channel, my main channel page, and then up at the top search bar, it'll be search through the channel, and just put in negative painting or something like that, and you'll see where I do some flowers and I teach some of that stuff. And some of my color classes and everything, I like to teach negative painting because it's such a big part of painting, the negative of the painting here. So let's get more of a green, because I need that color. So a little bit more of a green here, and a few marks of that. See, I'll make that, and I'll just take a few marks of that right out through there. That just adds so much. So it doesn't have to be perfect. And sometimes, you know, I'll go more transparent. Let's go more yellow-green transparent out here. Right out there. Maybe a bit more of this darker green right in here to say this is the back edge of that rose here, coming right up into here. And I'll lift that off, you know, and so you can see that background kind of does some of the shaping there of that rose, which is kind of pretty. Let's do a few softer, maybe some, got a lot of white in there, so I'm going to add some open medium, because I don't want to lose all of this right out here. And let's come down and just add some ideas of the littler blossoms right down through here. And we'll take where's the centers? There's the centers. And let them be very distorted here. Just not perfect. Tap in a little bit of the yellow. And this is the impressionism of it. So once I got a couple of them pretty nice, let's put a little more yellow right in there. Once I got a couple of them pretty nice, I don't need to paint everyone. And as a matter of fact, it's prettier if you don't. You let some of this just start to fade away. And, you know, they don't have to be perfect. We'll add a little more light here. Sometimes I like that light, and I'll pull right into some of that yellow and violet and just pull it out here. And it does its job. Here, let's put a bit of yellow back in there. There we go. Bit of yellow. Let's get back into some of that light, maybe a little bit of open medium, so it's not completely opaque here. And you can see I can just start, I don't have to paint all the petals. I can just start to give the idea of these petals. Let's get a little more gray, a little bit different look there. just give the ideas of them. A little more light right here. I only have to paint, 3 or so. I don't have to paint all of them. Just a few of them going around there, and it just kind of blurs off. Maybe an idea right out here, maybe that's, and see, I'll let these just kind of fade off into some of these other colors, and maybe I want to take some soft greens right out here and let this be the impressionistic part of the painting right in here. There's all kinds of beautiful ways, and to me, letting it flow right down here like that is really quite pretty. Let's take just a touch of a darker green right up here. A bit of that right in, a few little marks of that right in there. And we'll add some extra stems right in here that give the feeling of just lots going on there. Okay. And see, I just go back and forth and find those edges. Sometimes you'll see me just take a little bit of color and push like a little leaf or so off to the sides here. If I feel like it's too weak, I just might give a little stem right out there. Let's add a little extender, thin this out. So if I'm out here, I'll go a little bit of extenders into my greens and stuff so that they don't have as much power. And I can soften them all out there. Let's take this. Let's go a bit more, a little bit warm, a little bit of yellow, more white. I'm going to pinch wipe some of that extra out of my brush so I get this a little bit more pure white. And hit right into the front of this rose again. And maybe take that in and out with my nice dirty finger. It's got green and stuff on it, so this will carry some of those tones right in there. And it's just lifting up that front center of the rose again, which is what I want to do. There. Here we go. Maybe some nice texture of it. Nice texture. Little bit of yellow and violet. Let's just keep this kind of soft right here. But I'll always kind of find that bowl again. That bowl is so important. So I'll just do that and just soften this down into that. Maybe leave that stroke going that way. See, because that little mark that I had there going that way gives you a soft feeling. And then the light pulling down that way just gives you the feeling of that nice light in that rose. So we've really put quite a bit of contrast into this front rose here. We'll just pull some of that right in here. Right in there. There we go. That's pretty good. Maybe a whisper or two of it right out here. And just let it hit some of that green and stuff there. Some of these other... I've got it very translucent back here, maybe just an edge to help that pop out even more. But you get quite a nice look to it. Let's take some yellow here. This one's painting up quite a bit faster than the other one. Maybe I'm just going faster, but let's take some yellow oxide, some light, and hit that side of it. Yellow oxide. And white here, just touch here, that nice light side of it, maybe just a touch more white so it's in just the edges of these little blossoms here. It's almost how much you want to bring out the blossoms. Some people don't like them, they like the roses to stand. I like the blossoms to come out too, because it's a different shape, and I like them to have power within the painting as well. But try it, see which one you like, and then you do it. And then also keep in mind, like if those of you that are selling, and that's the other thing. I get it all the time, and I answer it all the time, but especially you hear their members and stuff, you can paint like these things and sell them. We allow everyone to paint our designs and sell them. You can't mass produce. In other words, you can't go make prints of your painting if you're using one of our designs. But if you're using it for inspiration, kind of doing your own thing, go do your own thing. Go make some money with it. Go make a profit with it. The art industry has blessed us like you wouldn't believe, and we like to bless our students with it. So I'd like you to go out there and sell your stuff and make money and continue to watch videos and buy paint and all that stuff. And then that allows us to continue what we like to do, especially with our foundation here in helping people. So there we go. So that's kind of pretty there with that one out. And it's a little different. And so you have negative painting here. I do like some of this. Might even just pop that up a little bit, like maybe a little burnt sienna and a little bit of quinacridone, not mixed really well. And just pull some of that out here. And see, I like that kind of smeary look out there as that pulls out like that. And see, if you don't like that and you go, ooh, I got it too heavy, just take a little water, which is your solvent, right on your paper towel, and then just pull right through. And see, you can, until you start to get some of that softness that you wanted to get there, like that with that color, see? And it's kind of a pretty little mark. So you can, start it out a little heavier and stuff, and then just take that little bit of water, and it will always cut through and just start to soften that out and give you a nice look. Now, I should, so I carry that color, just increase a little mark of it. And this is what Smid would do with like the Grand Manner, and taking some of those colors and those marks and carrying some of that color through, like. And then, so I'd look like right into here, express a little bit of that color. So see, your eye travels through, picks it up, and comes up through. Maybe a little mark of it right up in here. So it picks up through some of even the deepest parts of the color. And that's one of the techniques that he's using, is your eye travels through this color. And that's what he likes to do. And because color is really the secret of it. Is the color. And let's even use my left hand here, so it's a little different. Pull that down a bit, maybe soften that out. There we go. And it just makes such a pretty little composition here. Now, I like that. I like everything about it. Do you want to have maybe a little bit more of a gray, softer edge right in here on that rose? A bit of a, more of a toned color up against that edge. That's all up to you. I like that. Maybe I want to see just a touch more of a dark. And I can afford the dark now that I got all that other color in there. So I can afford a little more dark of a color there. And I like that. So that's kind of pretty, kind of different here. The roses are a little more fluffy than what some of the other stuff. I've been doing that lately, don't lie, but I like that. And again, look at how much color I've used. So on the, this palette is the same one I used on the last one. And if you set yourself down a day and just move through it, get yourself a bunch of these boards. Now, see, this is the Super MDF panel. And it's Super MDF because it's made with non-toxic, no formaldehydes, nothing. It's an 1/8 inch panel. And I go to my local wood supplier that sells it, and they sell it in a 4x8 sheet of it for about $12. And then I run it through the table saw, cut it out into different sizes, and they're beautiful. They're beautiful flat surfaces. They're archival. They have no acid in it. Nothing's ever going to break down. You give it that coat of the canvas prep medium on both sides of it, front and back. And you've got a beautiful surface and that you can paint on this. And let's just add a little bit more here. Right back through some of this down through here. Just let those just kind of fade off down through there. I like little marks like that. Just little light sparkles and marks there. That's just kind of good. Maybe it's just a little light edge of a blossom or something. But these Super MDF panels are just so great for this. And they're inexpensive. They're great. They're archival. I like them because they're archival. In other words, this painting will be around for hundreds and hundreds of years. And they're and there's such good quality to it. And so you can, you know, you could rest assured that you're selling a really good high quality painting. And then, or you can, you know, especially when you use the canvas prep and stuff with it, you get such a pretty, I'm just smoothing out a little bit there, but you get such a beautiful, you know, presentation of a piece of art here. And then you put it into a really nice frame, and yeah, it's really pretty. So those of you that are interested in these kinds of paintings, you'll see this, it'll come up, and this is what we do. We do these sales like this on our gallery twice a year, and this funds the Jansen Art Foundation. The Jansen Art Foundation is a foundation that our family has that promotes art around the world. And you can go to jansenartfoundation.org and see some of our work that we do, and expositions that we do, and scholarships that we do. And so this is basically how we fund it. And right now we're redoing the whole gallery and the art center here. Our art center gallery here in Sienna, Nebraska is 13,000 square feet. And about half of it, it was built in 1918. This building was built in 1918, and about half of it is under remodel and stuff now. So there's a lot of stuff going on, and it's very expensive to do all that kind of stuff. And so we fund it all with this foundation, and also this channel. The YouTube channel funds everything on it, so it's all nonprofit. And we sell the paintings here. I paint these and give these to the foundation, and then yeah, and then we sell those and stuff. So. And that's what funds it. So if you want to do something like that, watch the community page. I put up advertisements every once in a while for the community page to our gallery. You can always go to jansenartgallery.com and look for that, okay? Look for, you know, the sale and stuff that happens a couple times a year. Find the paintings and stuff. And everything we sell on those sites goes to the foundation, which goes to the funding of this channel and goes to the funding of it. It's all donated and stuff. So it's really good for you, okay? We appreciate your support. So go ahead. I'm going to sign this. I'm going to put this in, set out to dry, varnish it, and get it all ready to frame. And those of you that, and I put a varnish up video. Don't make sure that you follow that varnish video, because it's a lot of people ask me about the varnish. And yes, this heritage can go on top of oils. If you're an oil painter, it can go right on top of oils. But you have to let those oils make sure they're completely collate or dry. It's called collation. All of the basically all the solvents and everything are all burned out, and that can take oils, depending on how thick you put it up to 6 months. But once they're completely dry, you can use this varnish on top of it without a problem. This adheres to everything. But anyway, we'll watch that video there. I'm going to sign this. Maybe even I have enough, maybe even do another one, and I'll put it up for you guys. They're kind of fun, and these will make great Christmas gifts. I know we're coming into the fall, into Christmas. Go paint some Christmas gifts. They're fun, okay? All right. I'll see you guys on the next one. I'm going to sign this.